Welcome to a special episode of Friends and Film, a podcast where we talk about the latest movie news and theatrical releases. I'm your host, Cooper Hood at Coops_Hoops on Twitter, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Josh Straley at StraleyStrong on Twitter. You can follow the podcast on Twitter as well at Friends and Film, and you can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube by searching Friends and Film. On this special episode of Friends and Film, we will be doing a preview for Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, the highly anticipated movie that's going to kick off, or hopefully kick off, the DC extended universe. This will hopefully be a little shorter episode than normal. Not going to go a full hour on this, hopefully. But we are going to be giving our expectations, breaking down the potential plot, the characters, and speculate on a whole bunch of other stuff. But Josh, you ready to do this?
Yes, I am ready to do this. It's going to be quite a marathon here, but I'm ready to go.
Yeah, this should be interesting to say the least. So we'll just cut right to the chase, really. Give you a quick plot synopsis for what the movie is going to entail. It is: fearing the actions of a godlike superhero left unchecked, Gotham City's own formidable, forceful vigilante takes on Metropolis's most revered modern-day savior, while the world wrestles with what sort of hero it really needs. And with Batman and Superman at war with one another, a new threat quickly arises, putting mankind in greater danger than it's ever known before. So, we are recording this on Tuesday night. It's about 6:45, which means the embargo for Batman v Superman reviews dropped about 45 minutes ago. And it is not what I'm sure Warner Brothers was hoping.
It ain't good, folks. That's for sure.
No, just to give you a quick rundown. And just to be clear, this whole thing could potentially have spoilers in it for the movies. For the movie, including like cameos, plot points. If you haven't seen the trailers or read much about the movie, this probably isn't for you. Just because we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. Including some early reactions people have had, the reviews, Rotten Tomato scores, some headlines for reviews and whatnot. So hopefully you'll stick around as we do all this stuff. But to start it off with Rotten Tomatoes, when the embargo lifted at 6 o'clock on Tuesday, it was at a 14%. Then a couple minutes later it dropped, which is hard to say, to 11%. Then went up to 25%, which is good. I mean, not good, but it's better than 14 and 11. And then it went up to 39, and now currently at 6:44 p.m. on Tuesday, March 22nd, it is at a 41% critic score.
Oh, well, it's better than the 11% we saw it at earlier.
Yeah, but it's not good.
No, it's not where you expect it to be with all the hype.
No, I mean, I thought this movie would probably be a low 70s movie on Rotten Tomato. Did you have any sort of number in mind? I mean, Man of Steel to 56% when it was all said and done.
Yeah, I mean, I expected it to be much higher than Man of Steel for sure. You're putting in everyone's favorite character, Batman, and you're going to have those two guys battle it out. So how could it not be better, especially when you put an A-list actor like Ben Affleck in the role?
That's, it's what you would think. But apparently, as reviews have entailed, it's not good, I guess is the way to put it. Just some of the headline phrases for some of the reviews have not been great. Just to run down a couple of them, some of the big notable ones. EW said it doesn't live up to all the hype. THR says it's not fun. Birth Movie's Death said it was dumb, dull, and, quote, the worst modern comic book film, which the reviewer Devin Fauci later prefaced by saying that is post 2008 with Iron Man. Slash Film called it a messy spectacle, and Screen Crush called it burdensome 150-minute slog.
Oh, that sounds so sad. It's so sad for me to hear that because this is one of my favorite comic book story arcs. And to think that they ruined it by putting too much into it or just flat out murdering the execution, or it makes me feel really bad.
Yeah. So reading and hearing all this, does this lower your expectations? I mean, I'm sure it does going into the movie in a couple of days.
Oh, absolutely, it does. I mean, I was ready to say, like, give it like the 75%, but now I'm thinking, gee, if I walk out of here feeling like I got my money's worth, that'll be, the best possible scenario.
Yeah. I was, because I think, I mean, surprisingly enough, I was not a crazy fan of Man of Steel, but I guess my 3.5 rating is actually, I mean, it's very good on my scale. So a lot of other people are not as forgiving, I guess, of that movie as I am. So I was kind of expecting a similar, I was hoping for a 4 out of 5 star for this movie when we get to review it in a couple of days here. But now I think it'll be lucky to get a 3. I mean, if it gets a 3 after this, then I'll be like, okay, it wasn't great, but there were that means there were redeeming qualities to it where I'm looking forward to seeing what the future entails for all the characters involved, and we sure know there are plenty of characters coming.
Mm-hmm. That's where I've got mine sitting now. I've got mine sitting at a 3 of 5 right now, like expected, but it's teetering on the edge of the 2.5, 2.75, or whatever the case is.
I mean, it's hard to think that this movie would be worse than Fantastic Four, but I mean, Fantastic Four is like a solid 2/3 of that movie is solid, and the end is just terrible. And I gave it a 2 out of 5. If Batman v Superman gets a 2 or lower, that's gonna really dampen my expectations for. I mean, it's gonna dampen everything for this movie, my thoughts towards this movie, and definitely towards the rest of this universe moving forward.
At least with these characters, I would say. I feel like Suicide Squad's gonna get a little bit better of a press. I mean, initially.
Yeah.
But it's not boding well for Justice League. That's for sure.
No, that's supposed to start shooting here in a couple of weeks with Zack Snyder on board. So we'll see if any of that happens.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
He cannot be feeling too good right now.
No, and I'm not. I mean, we can talk about this more, I guess, now with kind of how we expect the movie to go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a huge Zack Snyder fan. I think he does things very well visually, but in terms of story, it's never really there. I'm not a big fan of 300. Man of Steel, I liked this. I'm not looking forward to that much anymore. But how do you think this movie's going to play out kind of plot-wise?
Well, they definitely have to. I think I said it in our last podcast, but I definitely think it's going to clean up some of the questions left from Man of Steel, provide a little bit of background on what's happened since then, and then it's got to kind of tell us where Superman's at with his superhero life, his personal life with Lois Lane, and then they're going to show us what Batman's thinking, because he's obviously going to, start throwing punches or, pokes at Superman, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking as well. Kind of, we'll see, Batfleck, as he's been coined on the internet, see
That's
him,
pretty good.
Get back into the game. Superman's still the savior of the world, basically. And, like in the trailers, he's saving people from like floods as they're on their houses and stuff. And he's just doing, heroic acts such as that. But he's also still, somehow maintaining his double life as Clark Kent. And then somehow, some way, when Batman eventually gets fed up with Superman's antics, he's going to challenge him. He'll probably lose his first match, I would say. And then he starts working on a new suit. I think that's kind of when Lex becomes more of a factor, where we get some more Wonder Woman and our introduction to her. And then they fight again, as we've seen in the trailers, where he's in the armored suit, and then he blocks that punch. And then I think that's where he quote unquote beats him, where then like Superman's like, okay. And they kind of reconcile their differences, and then they turn around and Lex unleashed Doomsday on everybody, and they're like, oh crap, gotta go deal with this guy now.
Mm-hmm.
And then they team up with Wonder Woman, defeat Doomsday, and what happens from there on out, I have no idea.
Yeah. Do you think Lex Luthor is pulling strings behind the whole background of this fight between Batman and Superman? Because the trailers sort of allude to he's pretty into this whole battle, going forward.
Yeah, I think so, because I mean, even like the trailer, like one of the first things we see from Lex is the party where he introduces the two of them, and then he shakes Superman's hand. And he goes, "Oh, that's a hard handshake. Like I definitely wouldn't want to pick a fight with this guy."
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, and like you kind of get I've gotten the feeling that he knows he knows that Clark Kent is Superman. Somehow, some way, he's figured it out.
Yeah. And maybe Batman too.
Possibly. I mean, if he can figure out that, I think he'd be able to figure out, how a guy could afford to be Batman for all these years.
I just thought this thought just occurred to me. Do you think Lex Luthor is maybe responsible for Batman getting the right gear to take down Superman?
It's possible. I know. I mean, in this version of him, he's kind of more of like an internet mogul, a tech guy. So, I mean, having the capabilities to hook him up with armor, I guess, is possible. But I think it's kind of more something where, just Alfred and Bruce have, unlimited resources to, make that happen.
Sure.
Speaking of them, they are just two of the many characters that are going to be in this movie. We're getting our next Batman. He's our seventh Batman or something. I don't even know how many. But I'm pretty excited for Affleck as Batman. I think he's going to be do a pretty good job portraying him as both Batman and Bruce Wayne, and showing the differences between basically two sides to him. Are you excited for Affleck?
If you would have asked me this prior to seeing Gone Girl and Argo, I would have said no. I don't like it. I didn't think he was a good fit. But after seeing those and seeing him really mature in a role, I think it's perfect for this older Batman that he's going to portray. So I think it's excellent.
Were you somebody when it was announced that was somebody that joined in on the criticisms, like Ben Affleck?
Yeah,
that guy is Batman.
Oh yeah, definitely. And mainly because my Ben Affleck movie experience was all on his younger side. I didn't really seem anything super dramatic, that at least at the level Batman should be. But I really have confidence in Ben Affleck, seeing him in trailers and in his last few movies.
Yeah, see, when he was originally announced, I had not seen much of anything of Ben Affleck at that point. So when it was announced, everybody was hating on us. Well, what did this guy ever do? I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And then even my dad, he came home from work and he's like, "Did you see they cast that Ben Affleck guy as Batman?" And he started laughing. I was like, I guess this is a bad choice. I don't get it. But I mean, since seeing like you said, Argo, Gone Girl, some of his other roles, he's a great actor, director. So I'm very confident he'll be able to pull it off. Same with Henry Cavill, returning as Superman. I think he'll do just a fairly good job, just like he did in Man of Steel. Do you have the same thought with that?
Yeah, he's got this look to him when he's playing the role of he stands out of the crowd, and when he's looking around, he's always looking around like he's seeing it all for the first time or getting used to it, or I don't know. I just thought that was a really good new thing that he brought to the role that I've never seen before.
What about Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman?
Don't have too much to go on for her acting career in super serious, or not super serious, but dramatic roles. At least that's what this is shaping up to be. Her obviously in Fast and Furious movies, but she doesn't have too many moments except for 7.
She's in 5 and 6.
Yeah. The latest ones where they pick up the intensity. So it'll be a good thing. It'll be a good indicator of her in this movie will be a good indicator on what we'll see in Wonder Woman for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I've no really, preconceived notions about her, just because, like you said, I haven't seen her in a lot. Basically, just the Fast and Furious franchise, where she's never been, stand. I'm like, wow, blown away by her acting ability in that scene where she's sitting on a dude's lap, driving a car and kissing him.
Yeah,
it's like, wow, it's great acting. Or like I saw her in 999 recently. Not great, but I don't know. Her role was so small, I didn't really care at that point. What about? Are you a fan of Jesse Eisenberg?
Oh, of course.
He's a really good actor.
Yeah, he's played it all. From I don't know, whatever his character's name is in Now You See Me, the eccentric personality, which I think was probably a really good primer for his role as Lex Luthor, to the weird Mark Zuckerberg. Not weird, but the socially awkward Mark Zuckerberg. And he's a great guy. What I've seen of him so far is really great. How about you?
Yeah, I think he's a really dynamic actor. Just like you said, Social Network. Now You See Me. His last movie, American Ultra. I don't know if you saw that. He's basically a drug addicted undercover agent, like a sleeper agent, because he doesn't even know he's an agent until everything breaks out. And he's just really awkward and funny in that movie.
Oh yeah, that's is that with him and Kristen Stewart?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. I was thinking of that.
Yeah, and then just all of his other, he has a lot of similar roles like that.
Zombieland. Zombieland, of course. You have to mention Zombieland.
Yeah, and then but Lex, I don't know. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing him. Hopefully he's good. His the red capes are coming line bugs me in the trailer, but I think him being kind of like an annoying little brother to both of them, I think is that's kind of how I'm looking at him going in. I think is an interesting way to play on the character.
Yeah, it definitely looks like they got a fresh take for him, I think.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun.
Are you expecting anything major out of Amy Adams as Lois Lane or Jeremy Irons as Alfred?
I'm not. I'm expecting them both to kind of play the similar roles. They're gonna have some dialogue with them back and forth. That'll be don't do it, don't go punch Batman, don't go punch Superman, and then that'll be kind of the extent of it. I know Amy Adams looks like she's in the heat of things and that final battle or whatever the rooftop is with Jesse Eisenberg. But I don't expect them to have too much screen time throughout the film.
Yeah, I would agree. I like the more the younger take on Alfred, where he looks like he's more involved in Batman's adventures instead of as much as I like Michael Caine's version, where he just he stays back and lets Batman do his thing. Seeing Alfred kind of get on the action, I think will be pretty cool. And then one of the other characters we know is going to be in it from the trailers, unfortunately, is Doomsday. Which now kind of leads into possible spoilers, and we're going to speculate a lot at this point on about what the movie's going to be about and how it's going to go, what it can mean moving forward, and stuff like that. So are you excited for Doomsday?
Yeah, I think he's okay. Well, let me rephrase this. I'm not. I'm excited to see what they do with him, but I would have liked to have been surprised by Doomsday.
Yeah,
because it makes logical sense. Have Batman and Superman beat each other up and then put them together in one, a common enemy that they can't take on alone. But knowing he's in it, I don't know, it changes the whole thing for me.
Yeah, even that synopsis I read at the top, it hints towards another villain lurking, which I kind of I'd always assumed to be Lex, and then they showed the trailer and it was okay, Lex kind of is the villain, but he's unleashing Doomsday. His name's Doomsday. It should not be an easy battle, which is why Wonder Woman definitely gets involved. But yeah, I definitely would have liked to have been in the theater when I see him for the first time, because seeing him in the trailers, I was like, nope, not a fan of this decision. First off, he looked terrible. Just the way they made him look, he looked like a lesser version of Abomination from the Incredible Hulk. Also mixed with a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. So hopefully he's cool. I haven't seen a lot of positive stuff around him so far in the first hour that the reviews have been out, but who knows?
Yeah, he looked like they'd rushed the job in computer imaging or the graphics, and just so they could throw him in a trailer that all of us would have been happy not to have him in.
Yeah, it's like I like right when that trailer happened, I was like, oh, there's a much better version of this trailer somewhere, and then literally within like the next 24 hours, like a fan edited one together where it ends just like how I was imagining it, with like the Godzilla like roar that Doomsday did. Like that's like it just roars over the title card.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, like
Perfect.
that would have been a much better way to do it, because that way we're like, oh, is that Doomsday? But you don't also know if it is.
Yeah,
it's all speculation.
Could have been a freaking alien invasion for all we know.
Yeah, it could have been Godzilla.
Yes, absolutely.
just cross over plenty of universes.
Godzilla.
Yeah. Yeah, just break Godzilla, King Kong, get Jurassic Park in there, just have a like the biggest cinematic universe ever.
Was that Chris Pratt on a motorcycle?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Doomsday.
Yeah. The big question is with Doomsday and that fight is at what point it comes, because you think it's the final battle, right?
It's all indications it is.
Right. But there's also like, I don't know, it's weird. I guess not for those trailers because they've shown everything, it seems like. But could that be one of those things where we think they've shown everything, but there's actually more to be shown, and there's another threat?
Yeah, well, we talked about this a while ago. That Reddit user says that, oh, don't worry, Doomsday's not the spoiler. There's something else that's the spoiler. And it's like, well, all right, great. Now you just ruined the whole misdirection with throwing us Doomsday. So some people have been thinking it's Mysterio, like the alternate Superman, or what's the character?
It's not Mysterio. It's gosh.
I think is Mysterio the
Spider-Man? Mysterio's a Spider-Man villain.
Yeah, that's right. I got Spider-Man in the brain right now. I just flipped through one of his Carnage battle comics.
Yeah, I'm totally blanking. I know who you're thinking of, because I'm pretty sure we talked about it even before. But do you think that whatever if there's another villain, is that something where Aquaman, Flash, and Cyborg come in and make a mini Justice League movie out of it?
Yeah, that's probably the indication, because they're in this movie. They're on the cast roll call, whether it's if it's not mini cameos, maybe in TV headlines, or just shows them chilling out in their respected places. You gotta toss them in somewhere, and if there's a whole new threat that's gonna require all the heroes to take on, you'd have to assemble them. But if they do that, I don't want to see a battle. I just want to see them throw 5 heroes up and then look at the enemy and then roll credits.
Yeah, and it's Bizarro. That's the alter ego.
Thank you.
I was gonna say, I know we talked about this not too long ago.
Because that would almost, I don't know if they're turning Zod or Mike Shan's character into Doomsday.
That's what it looks like.
That's what it looks like. But then again, at the same time, maybe they turn him into Superman, but they turn him into Bizarro.
I think that one, I don't know. I don't think that would happen. I think like going the Bizarro route, I think would be cool if somehow Lex had cloned him and actually did make him like a legit evil version, like an evil twin of Superman. But yeah, I definitely think we know Aquaman, Flash, and Cyborg are in the movie at some point. We think there's another villain coming. I don't know who. Darkseid's been kind of rumored and floated around there because the Omega symbol that's shown in the desert that Batman's looking over.
Oh yeah.
People have been thinking that's a possibility.
Or they could just.
I found that hard to believe because he's been rumored a lot for the actual Justice League movie. So unless they show him here in BVS then wait a full year to show him again, or like a year and a half to show him in Justice League Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I mean, it's not that bad of a setup. I mean, Marvel's been teasing Thanos since 2012.
Yeah, 4 years now.
and yeah, we haven't seen him do anything.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't be that bad, I guess. But it would definitely just, kind of put even more on this movie's plate that it probably doesn't need.
Right. The climax is supposed to be Batman, Superman, then Doomsday. There's no reason to kick everything back up again with another villain at the end unless you're going to do a dramatic stop. And if they do a whole nother battle, I won't be a fan of it.
Yeah, like the big dramatic stop would really only work if like Justice League is picking up right after.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, it's like, it could happen because, I mean, Suicide Squad, I don't know, because Suicide Squad's been said to take place like after BVS, but there's also parts that take place before and stuff. So you'd think like there was like a big threat like Darkseid, like somehow Suicide Squad would have to like get involved. And then Wonder Woman comes out before Justice League Part 1. So, and her movie is taking place over like 3 different like time periods. So whatever she does in the present day would have to be tied into there. So I think it has to end in a way where the story in BVS is finished, but it lays seeds for future movies like Justice League. So I could see them. That's why I kind of hope there's not another villain, and that they defeat Doomsday, and like they barely defeat him. Like all 3 of them are really beat up after the movie, and as a result, they're kind of all looking around like, yeah, we need more help.
Mm-hmm.
And then one one's like, hey, I know this, this guy named Aquaman. It's like, okay. And then the speedster Flash comes flying by after everything's done. It's like, oh, what just happened?
Yeah, totally.
Or he's been secretly saving people as Metropolis is destroyed.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, or maybe that's how Cyborg is born, like that's his origin. I mean,
mm-hmm.
Who knows? But I am interested to see how all those people get in there, as long as it's not, just like, hey, here's the Justice League, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't want to see Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman all just right there, and then all of a sudden the camera does something crazy, and the next thing you know, you see everyone there, and you're like, well, where'd they come from?
Yeah, it's like the shot of the trailer where all 3 of them are standing together. It's right after like Wonder Woman deflects, like absorbs Doomsday's blast. It's like it just keeps panning out. It's just like there's Aquaman, Flash, and Cyborg. It's like, wait, what?
Is that Iron Man and Captain America out there too?
Yeah, they just bring everybody in. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I don't want. It needs to be done tastefully, and I think I've said that before.
Yeah,
organically. Don't force it all in at one time.
Which kind of seems like how it's gonna go.
It does seem like that.
Which begs the question: is this actually going to? It's like Man of Steel was kind of supposed to be the beginning of the DCEU, and I was like, okay, well, that was kind of like the intro. This is the real kickoff.
Mm-hmm.
But now with not great buzz, is this actually going to do its job and get people really, really excited for this movie, which currently live update at 7:10, it's at a 42%.
Oh, well, I mean, it's still chilling right there. But I think even if critics don't like it, it's going to be pushed forward by the fans. And I think it's going to do its job setting up the DCEU, but it's not going to have the same effect that Avengers did back in 2012.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's one of those things where like the comic book movie clans and the fanboys and stuff, like people are going to support this movie if they're DC fans no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, I mean, there's Marvel fans will do the same. There's Star Wars fans that will support the prequels and say they're great movies, and they like no matter what. There's no wrongdoing by these studios in some fans' minds, which good for you, I guess, if you can find joy in like terrible movies.
Mm-hmm.
But this also does cause like harsh reactions to critics, other people who don't have that same viewpoint. But I think because of people are going to go see this movie regardless of. I don't think this is one of those things with like Fantastic Four where people were excited for this movie coming into opening weekend, and then it got terrible reviews out the gate, and people are going to be like, yeah, let's not go see that. Let's go see My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2 instead.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's not going to happen. People are going to go see BVS. Even if they hear it's bad, they're going to be like, but it's Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman. I have to see this. Like, even just to experience it, like, I think it will do... I don't know. I don't think it will do a great job at, I think it will lay the foundation for the DCEU, but it won't do it in the best way possible. I feel like the last, 20-ish minutes of this movie is going to be like Easter egg, set up, like, hey, here's this guy, this movie's coming out, just like kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, we talked about this a couple weeks ago of, possible schedule changes. When this did get some bad word of mouth by some early reactions and stuff, and that Snyder could possibly leave, that they could, shuffle the slate around with Justice League gets pushed back and a Batman solo movie gets pushed up to next year, possibly. Do you think that's happening? I mean, we'll have a better idea come a couple of days once we actually see the movie and the numbers and stuff, but initial thoughts before everything happens.
If the early reviews of it are right, then I think even though it seems bad, it's still going to go forward. I don't think they're going to adjust anything because I think they've already got money into this. They've got scripts and they're getting ready to film it. But it's highly possible that we only see a Justice League movie and not a two-parter.
Maybe. I could see that. It's just that, people have been kind of thinking that, I mean, these movies are going to be tied close together, even though they come out 2 years apart, or I guess a year and a half. But with Justice League set to start shooting, 2 weeks after BVS premieres, that's not a lot of time for adjustments. They're already heavy pre-production. They've got people ready to go. So delaying this movie not only sets back Justice League, I think it sets back everything.
Mm-hmm.
So then at that point, you're like, if people are loving Batman, and then they're like, okay, Batfleck movie, go. Like, you guys are filming next week. It's like, whoa, what?
Yeah.
Like, okay. Like, I don't know. I hope that they can stick to it, but I'm not confident that they actually can, just because I don't think the reactions will be good enough to warrant them. Or like, Warner Brother executives will be like, okay, yeah, we can still do these, these lesser known characters, where it's like, no, like, let's get Batman out there instead.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point. If you can't get your A players great movies, no one's going to go see your B players.
Yeah.
And that's what we see with Marvel. I don't think I would have gone and seen a Guardians of the Galaxy movie if I hadn't loved every Marvel movie before it and then been like, oh, what the heck, might as well just take a chance with it.
Yeah. And it's like, that's where like Marvel did like such an incredible job, and like, not to sound like a DC hater or Marvel fanboy or anything, but they took B-level characters that not a lot of people knew about and turned them into A-list characters, A-list actors, where they're the biggest franchises in the present day. They didn't have their X-Men, they didn't have Spider-Man, they didn't have their big money guys, and they still were able to make a successful and long-lasting universe.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I don't want to say this because we're bashing DC or like Marvel better. It's just that's the only thing we have to compare it to, and it's it's the grade A of movie franchises right now. If you want to do a series right, that it spreads across a decade. That's how to do it, and it just seems like this is trying to be a quick jump start, and they're not letting it really just happen organically.
Yeah, and I don't want like DC to always be compared to Marvel. I want DC to have their movies, have them be good. I want them to be good and stand on their own, where we don't have to worry about comparing them to Marvel movies, comparing them to Fox movies, comparing them to other franchises. I just want DC movies to be DC movies.
Definitely.
But as we wrap up here, part of that rumor earlier was that Snyder would get kicked out if this movie didn't do good. He would not do Justice League. Do you think with, 2.5 weeks currently from right now until it starts recording or starts filming, do you think Snyder's still around if it sticks to that April 11th start date?
I find it really hard. I find it almost impossible to think that they would throw Snyder out as he's getting ready to command a Justice League movie. But I can definitely see him just not being involved going forward with the planning of anything else if this movie doesn't do well, because it would be crazy to throw out the man at the helm of the Justice League movie and then have someone try to take over his vision or whatever he had put in place already, don't you?
Yeah. I do think it would definitely be jarring for the entire movie, but I think they could get around it. We talked about this a couple weeks ago they have George Miller on as producer. He could possibly step in and direct. You have Ben Affleck still in there, who's a Oscar-nominated director, writer, actor. Like he's no slouch. And then I think they should continue to involve Jeff Johns, he's done a lot of stuff, kind of helping this universe grow. But he does a lot of overseeing on the TV side as well. And really, The Flash, especially the TV show, is one of the best comic book TV shows on air right now. Mm-hmm. So getting him more involved as a producer and overseer, having Affleck help write the script and everything. After rumors of him possibly doing rewrites on set of BVS, and then George Miller. Maybe they keep Snyder on as the de facto director, but it's Miller who's basically calling the shots. I could see something like that playing out.
I think I could too, but
it's also not a lot of time.
Yeah, I just don't think they'll throw Snyder out of the door if this movie shoots below expectations. But I don't see him getting, the hey, what do you think about everything in the future? Oh yeah, he's definitely, if this movie does not do well financially and the ratings continue to stay below 50% on Rotten Tomatoes and whatnot, I don't think he's going to be the overseer anymore, like the Joss Whedon or Kevin Feige of the Marvel Universe. Like he's going to take a step down. Maybe he still directs, and maybe that's a problem for why he couldn't do BVS that well. If it is actually, in fact, not that good, is because he's trying to balance everything. And he's trying to do 10 people's jobs instead of just doing a one man's job of just direct this movie. Mm-hmm. So maybe it could work out if they do get rid of him. I don't think there's any way on earth that this movie starts filming on the 11th. I think they'd push it. This movie doesn't come out till November of next year, so they could push production back a couple of months and still have enough time, as long as it's not too long and not too CGI heavy, to get everything done in time, I think. Last thing we'll cover before we get out of here and out of you guys' ears, box office. Current projections are $350 million worldwide and $140 domestic opening weekend. Do you think that it will, in fact, do those numbers? I think it's going to do those numbers. I think it's actually going to exceed those numbers.
Okay. So what are you thinking?
I'm thinking 180 million domestic. And Batman is such a beloved character. You're bringing over Superman fans, which are probably Batman fans too, but you're also adding Wonder Woman, who has not had a lot of screen time, a lot of film in her name, that I can think of, at least not like modern era
not modern
movies.
Day, no.
So I just think that's going to bring a lot of people to the movies that wouldn't have come to it without that. It may not get critically acclaimed ratings, but I still think fans are going to show up.
All right. Just to put it in perspective, $108 domestic opening weekend would put it as the 5th highest opening weekend of all time. Right behind Star Wars, Jurassic World, Avengers 1, and Age of Ultron.
Yeah, I think it'll do something close.
I think it'll do, I don't know, 140 is a lot of money. That's nothing to scoff at. I mean, everybody's raving about Deadpool's success early this year, and it made $132 million opening weekend. So 140 is a little better than that. I think, I don't know. I think it can do a little better, or will do a little better. Probably like 150 domestic. But I think the worldwide total will probably stay about the same.
That's what my guess is too.
I don't see it getting like 400 or 500 or, as you once predicted, $1 billion.
Oh, okay. Shut up.
Totally different movie.
That was for episode 7. I was so hyped on that, man. I would have said anything at that point.
Yeah, understandable.
I don't really have a good concept of money.
I guess not.
Maybe that's why my finances are so bad.
But yeah, so you're saying 180.
I'm gonna write down 180 and stick to it.
I'm going 150 opening weekend.
Let's see how close we are on Saturday.
Yep, we will. Well,
Sunday.
When we record on Saturday, we should have a good estimation of what it will come in at. It is Easter weekend, so a lot of kids are off of school on Friday, so that could help its box office numbers a lot. So who knows? Maybe your 180 will be a lot, more spot on. It'll be fun to see how this whole thing plays out.
Yeah.
Honestly, even if the movie's not good, I think the fallout of it will be insane.
Mm-hmm.
And if it is good, and the reviews currently are not good, but if somehow people do actually, and like the fans end up liking it, and maybe as more reviews come in, it does continue to go up instead of going down. I think that would be good.
Yeah.
But it's hard to tell.
Yeah, I really want to love this movie. It's my favorite animated film and comic book plot. So my fingers are crossed that everyone else just sucks at reviewing movies, and I'll love it. So
yeah, we are hopeful. Friends and Film Podcast, we are hopeful that it is good. We'll be back in a couple of days. It must be weird for you guys hearing us 2 straight days in a row, and then you'll be hearing us again in 5 days, if I can do math, I think. Yeah, 5 days. All right, good. That's why I passed entry level math in college.
Yeah, that's why we're paying for those degrees.
Yeah, but that's the end of our preview. Hopefully you guys liked and enjoyed this preview episode of Friends and Film, and we'll probably be doing a couple more of these throughout the year. So if there's movies that we're really excited about, or maybe you're really excited about and you want us to do a preview episode such as this, if enough people have interest in it, we will consider doing such a thing. I know we currently are planning to do another one for Civil War, when that comes out in about just over a month, which is insane.
Yeah. Rogue One too, of course.
Yeah, Rogue One. Maybe X-Men Apocalypse. I mean, the possibilities are endless. So, yeah, that'll do it for us. As always, you can find me on Twitter at @Coops_hoops.
And me, Josh, at Straley Strong.
And follow the podcast on Twitter at Friends and Film. And, as always, give us a like, thumbs up, share it, retweet our tweets. Find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube at Friends and Film. And if you go give us a review right now on iTunes, you will be entered to win a copy of Captain America: The First Avenger on DVD. We'll be giving that away in the next couple of weeks, so go do it, please. It would be greatly appreciated once we start getting some reviews up on iTunes. But until next time, be sure to go see some new movies, and specifically Batman v Superman, so you can listen to our review in a couple of days, and hopefully it's good. See you later, guys.